back to the fantasy show. Hopefully you're in the fantasy football playoffs, or I wouldn't imagine if you're watching us, you would be playing for last place. But if you need a win to make sure you don't get last place, I think you're in the right spot here as well. Trevor Land in the middle, Luke Reimer on the right. I'm Zach Bruner. Like every Wednesday, we'll go over my rankings, compare them to the expert consensus. I did do a little sneak peek ahead of time just to see where I compared to some people. And honestly, this is a crazy week, obviously, because of COVID shit. We truly have no idea who's playing. But there's some people that are way all over the board or completely different than me, which is interesting. But quarterback, I think, is pretty set in stone. We'll start with that. Number one, I have Kyler Murray at the Lions. I actually think no DeAndre Hopkins helps him from a fantasy point of view. I have Josh Allen number 2 versus the Panthers. Tom Brady 3 versus the Saints. Justin Herbert 4 versus Kansas City tomorrow night. And Aaron Rodgers 5 at the Ravens. Trevor, what do you think of those quarterbacks?
Pretty solid list. Kyler Murray looked a little better. The one thing that was pretty concerning was his red zone interception, especially. That's literally the last thing you can do. So that's a little terrifying. If we know one thing about the Lions, they like jumping routes in the red zone. So that I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do get a red zone interception. But other than that, he should be balling 2, 3, 4. They're going to be good, especially Tom Brady, because they never get flagged for anything. And Aaron Rodgers, he's a good guy to round it out. We saw what he was doing against the Bears. You can't stop this guy. You really can't.
Yeah, my take with Rodgers, I'm sure we'll get into it the next show, but if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, this seems like a game like the Packers had against the Cardinals where they run the ball. Not run the ball. If Lamar Jackson plays, that seems like a game against like the Cardinals where they run the ball, which, is obviously going to take away from Aaron Rodgers. But it sounds like, the Ravens are doing everything they can to get Lamar Jackson in, which would be smart for them because they are still vying for that number or for that AFC North win. I love Tom Brady this week, especially because the Saints' run defense is so good. That just screams Chris Godwin drag routes and Rob Gronkowski corner routes where he sheds three tackles and runs to the end zone, and then Mike Evans maybe fade in the end zone. I don't know. Tampa Bay needs to win because I do think the Packers are rolling right now in order to get that one seed. So I do like Tom Brady. I do think he can jump up to that one spot this week.
To your point, last time they played the Saints in New Orleans, he passed for 375, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions right before their bye week. They have to pass the ball in that game. Saints pass defense is certainly suspect outside of Lattimore, and even Lattimore is giving up a bunch of yards this year. But if they just take Mike Evans out of the game, who really cares, to your point? Even Rashad Perriman's getting in on the action a little bit now, and he's got speed, which is all Tom Brady needs. Get him the ball on a short route in space, and then he runs for a touchdown to win the game, and that's all Tom Brady, baby. Of course, it's no credit to anybody else.
Shout out to Brees.
Yeah, he made a career of it. Kyler Murray, though, he made some bad mistakes last week, and spoiler alert, it's because he's a bad quarterback. He is not a good player at all. But hey, he plays Detroit. Detroit's made up of a bunch of undrafted people who he can run circles around. So who really cares?
Translation, Detroit sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm willing to say that. It hurts me a little bit. Detroit sucks. It's not Dan Campbell's fault. But other players, Jalen Hurts should play this week, playing Washington. I love it. Patrick Mahomes has been pretty terrible against the Chargers for his entire career. I have him at 8th. That is 3 spots lower than the consensus, who have him at 5. He's really not very good against the Chargers. They completely have his number. And if he finishes outside the top 12, it would not surprise me. If you have Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes, I'm not sure how you could have that, but I could see a case for going Prescott. I could see a case for going Tua. Like, I just really don't like Patrick Mahomes or his pass catchers at all this week. Do you guys agree with that, disagree with that because it's prime time, or what?
Well, let me throw another one at you. What about Ben Roethlisberger?
I'm higher on Ben than most people this week. I think I'd still side with Mahomes just because it is for, this is for the top spot in the division, so maybe he has a little extra juice. And I just don't want to put any faith in that Steelers offensive coordinator or receivers outside of Deontay Johnson, for that matter. So I think it's still go Mahomes.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, Tua's a good play. I mean, it's weird seeing him near the top 10 because he can't throw to one side of the field. And he hates offensive linemen, just a proven fact. But he's a good player. He's got, the talent against a team like the Jets. The Jets defense, is it not the worst in the league? Pretty sure it is. I mean, any quarterback's going to eat against that. And especially Tua is definitely going to be able to dice that up. Not because he's good, but because really a lot of people could.
Zach,
he's coming off a bye.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you've posted my Survivor Pool picks yet, but spoiler alert, I picked the Dolphins as my lock of the week. I do think that they absolutely kill the Jets here. I said that, the Jets kind of a team that can play spoiler to a playoff team. But I think if Myles Gaskin doesn't play, I think that helps Tua a lot because I think subbing in these different running backs who kind of have a different specialty at each spot kind of keeps the defense on their toes and staring at the running backs a little bit. And if you can get eyes on anything else other than Tua is going to at least somewhat succeed. And I think, Jalen Waddle has a big week. I think Mike Gesicki gets involved. I mean, this is a perfect week for Tua to kind of silence some doubters a little bit.
He was also quarterback 12 against them earlier in the year. Devante Parker is also back, at least for the time being. Not saying he's going to go crazy. I think he's decent, but he definitely takes coverage away from Jalen Waddle, which is even better. Running back situation. Fuck. I mean, guess who? I broke the news like 2 weeks after he signed with the team that Philip Lindsay was with the Dolphins. Guess what? Duke Johnson's also there, and he carried the ball.
What?
Yeah, they did the last game. I don't know, man.
They're like a retirement home.
I don't get it. Maybe Philip Lindsay plays this week. I honestly don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there.
And to think, if they were smart, they could have solved this by just drafting Jonathan Taylor with one of their 2 first-round picks. And instead, they were complete morons.
Just to add to the Dolphins a little bit, I do think that Tua sees a lot of time on the field. Zach Wilson, he's not that great. I know he's a rookie, whatever, but Miami has 2 ball hawking safeties in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, who I could see, getting 3 interceptions between the 2 of them. With Zach Wilson, they get a little pressure on Zach Wilson. He's going to throw up a duck and get Tua back on the field. So I do think he sees a lot of time on the field this week.
That is fair. Going to the rest of the rankings compared to the consensus, I have Jalen Hurts at 6. That's 3 spots higher. Talking about Tua, I have him at 11, which is 3 spots higher than the consensus. I have Davis Mills at 24, which is 3 spots higher. Davis Mills plays the Jaguars this week. I like that. We talked about Mahomes, and then I'm also 3 spots lower on Russell Wilson. I have him at 18. Consensus has him at 15. I would say between 14 and 18, which is Joe Burrow, Ben Roethlisberger, Jimmy Garoppolo, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. I think you could switch them anywhere, to be completely honest, and I wouldn't really have a strong opinion about it. What do you say about that, Trevor?
I like it. I think I'm more high on him definitely than anybody else too. I argue, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. I would maybe include Davis Mills up there with him. I actually really like what I've seen from him with what he has. I don't think he has anything except for a super concussed Brandon Cooks, and he's still looking serviceable. If Jacksonville gets to him, that's going to be a big problem, and I think that's likely. But if there's a scenario where he doesn't and he has even a little bit of time each throw, I think he's plenty good enough to carve up this team.
We're talking about Davis Mills, right?
Yeah.
Of course, always.
Okay, sorry. My buddy texted me, asked me if I wanted to go to the new Spider-Man movie on Thursday. But anyways, so I agree with you guys. I mean, I think, this is the week for, like, this should be the Davis Mills week, right? Got a shitty opponent with Jacksonville. Who the hell knows what's going on in Jacksonville? I don't even know if they have a coach who knows what's going on. I mean, he's calling out defensive linemen who didn't play. So it's all out of whack, and that's the play. I mean, if there's anything in a fantasy formula, it's take players who are going against teams that are all out of whack, right? I know the Texans aren't sexy, but if you're vying for a playoff spot here, I know with the 18-week season, someone may have added an extra regular season week. I think if you need a win and you don't feel comfortable, take a flyer on the Texans player. Davis Mills is kind of tough to take a flyer on because you probably have a solid quarterback. But, if you're desperate, it's not. I mean, you could do worse than Davis Mills this week.
Be careful what you say about the Texans. They have the 6th most loyal fan base according to garbage rankings. So they'll come for you.
No, they have a good fan base, actually.
Fuck
okay.
But 6th though, come on.
They packed the stadium and they haven't won ever. So yeah, I would say so.
No.
Trevor,
now that the Packers are 10th, no.
Right, I was going to say, I think your beef is...
that's bad.
Packers.
Packers should... No. Yeah, Packers shouldn't be lower, but I think Texans is fine.
No,
they have the best fan base probably in that division.
I hate the Texans.
Probably the
okay, that
fan
says
base
nothing.
in Texas.
That division is garbage for fans.
Yeah, but that puts 3 below them already. What would it be?
There
I would say like
32
Packers...
teams.
I'd go Packers, Steelers, Broncos, Patriots.
Chiefs.
4. I would
Chiefs,
go Cowboys.
maybe.
They're annoying, but Cowboys.
Cowboys. That's 6. Okay.
Saints.
They're top 10 for sure, though.
Saints are above them.
No.
Fuck the Saints.
You
After
just
they had
said
a hurricane,
Saints
they haven't
and
even
then
come out.
fuck the Saints.
Fuck Drew Brees.
How does that work?
I agree. Okay, any other quarterback you want to talk about?
Oh,
No.
yes.
Okay.
Is this the end of the career of Tyrod Taylor? I think it has to be, right? Like, I was high on him too, but dude's just not performing. Like, he'll be a backup.
He'll get a
but,
backup
like,
job.
In terms of, like, ever getting another chance, he's got to be done, right?
I don't know. Him and Fitzpatrick will get a chance. Just go to a spot with a young player. A young player doesn't throw it away. They're going to get hurt at some point, and then they'll get a spot start. They'll do the Josh McCown type of thing probably.
I do have a quarterback to bring up just because he's got an interesting matchup for how he plays. Is Taysom Hill against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is very, become obvious that they're very good at stopping the run. Taysom Hill likes to run the ball, and when he can't, we saw what he did 2 weeks ago and throw 4 interceptions. Zach, you have him at 12 here. Like in a 12-team league, would you feel comfortable starting him?
Yeah, I'm not too. I think he's going to get rushing yards. I don't think the Buccaneers are like unbelievable at stopping the run. Like they rank well, but once you have a rushing quarterback, you get that extra blocker. I think the Saints can do enough things to make it work.
Okay, I guess having Kamara back helps them a lot too. Helps Taysom Hill run
a ton. And Mark Ingram, he's there. So, I mean, not sure if that helps him, but he's going to be there.
Hey, shout out Mark Ingram, man.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, let's go to running backs. We'll see if Mark Ingram, where he ranks here. But I have Delvin Cook at number 1. I like Pierre Thomas.
Oh, Jimmy Graham too.
Cool. What about Deuce McAllister?
He was fuck
cool.
Deuce.
Ooh, big Deuce fan.
Reggie Bush.
Really?
Yep.
You hate Deuce but like Reggie Bush? Come on.
I'm going to power through this. Delvin Cook at number 1.
Ted Ginn.
Oh, wait, no.
All right, I'm done.
Was it Joe Horn? The dude who pulled the phone out of it? You got to like that. Phone out of the goalpost.
Sucked in Madden for me, so I hate him.
Okay. This is kind of tie into the Lombardi sweep conversation about, controlling the player. Like, is it the player? Is it the coach? Maybe it wasn't the player. But anyway, at number 2, I have Austin Eckler versus the Chiefs. I have Jonathan Taylor 3 versus the Patriots. Alvin Kamara 4 at the Bucks. James Conor 5 at the Lions. Luke, what do you think of those 5?
So the obvious one that sticks out to me there is James Conor at 5, right? Chase Edmonds, the people were projecting him to play last week. He didn't play. I don't think he played. And then they're now projecting him to play this week. Arizona should not play Chase Edmonds because I do think he's a vital part of their offense to at least get that run going, when they're not in the red zone and then James Conner picks up the slack in the red zone. So I do like James Conner here a lot. I know a lot of people have questions about that backfield, but I think James Conner is the guy you want in fantasy. He's the one scoring touchdowns. He's the one, bursting, 15-yard runs on the 20-yard lines and stuff like that. Especially against Detroit. I mean, Chase Edmonds shouldn't play against Detroit. James Conner should. Just give him the ball, let him lower his head, and just pound through a lineman. So I definitely think he scores at least one, maybe two, maybe even three touchdowns this week, and I could definitely see him jumping ahead of Alvin Kamara and Jonathan Taylor here. But just to round with the rest, I mean, Delvin Cook, he became involved last week. That's what Minnesota needs to do to get in the playoffs is obviously give Delvin Cook the ball, right? So I maybe for the rest of the year, I don't see anyone outperforming Delvin Cook.
No,
Yeah,
he's an absolute stud.
For James Conner, this feels like a game he gets hurt in. His usage has been very high the last 5 games, especially the last 2 weeks. We know his body can't keep up with this. He's going to get hurt within these next 4 games somewhere or another. But until that happens, like you said, with the Lions, he's going to be incredible. I mean, his usage in the passing game Monday night was...
Yeah.
I mean, where the hell did that come from, right? I mean, he had some good games in the middle, but 9 catches. I mean, when you throw that into it, he's just kind of the safe option too. He's going to eat for sure. It's just, will he hold up, right? It's kind of like you're playing with a ticking time bomb here.
More than anything, I think he's guaranteed 1 touchdown, like you said, Luke. But then you look at the players behind him. I don't know who's going to be active for the Browns outside of maybe Nick Chubb. So I don't necessarily love him. Leonard Fournette against the Saints. We just talked about their run defense. Najee Harris. I mean, the Titans' strength is their run defense, and I don't necessarily trust the Steelers. Darrell Patterson, I guess, looks like a good play, but I don't know. Joe Mixon's been bad. Elijah Mitchell's hurt. Aaron Jones, who knows? David Montgomery versus the Vikings, who knows? So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks everywhere under James Conner. So, I mean, he feels like an easy top 5 pick, at least for me.
Agreed.
Other news, I have DeAndre Swift at the bottom because I wanted to see him practice first. Doesn't seem like he's going to practice. Jamal Williams should be back. The question is who mixes in with him, behind him, whatever. I hope it cuts down notable running back Craig Reynolds. He somehow looked good last week in his 3rd or 4th season in the NFL, apparently. I don't know.
Jared Goff makes people look
says
good.
It's his first. I'm going to power through that one, too. I know a lot of the industry likes Godwin Igwebuike, that guy. I don't know why. So I would just assume... Okay, no other analysis needed. Any other running back you guys want to talk about?
Among those listed, or just any of them?
All.
I kind of want to talk about Mike Davis. I think he was a bum. I think Atlanta didn't know what they're doing when they gave him the contract. But I will say he's starting to get more. He's had very consistent usage in the passing game the last four weeks. His running usage, at least this past week, went up. I think it's when he gets 10 or more carries or 5 or more receptions, he has scored double digits like 7 of 8 times. Do you think you have him at 38? Do you think his usage dips again and that's why you have him there? Or do you just think he's, can't trust the guy even with those stats, you still can't trust him with his efficiency or lack thereof?
I mean, I just think it's a product of who he plays this week. I think San Francisco's super good against running backs because of those inside linebackers. They fill in really nice. So even if I don't trust his receiving production, I guess I would say. So I don't think that's going to be there. And then it's tough to run against the 49ers. So I don't know. Like, I feel like the Falcons need to make a decision whether they want to push for the playoffs or tank. And I don't know why they would push for the playoffs, I guess. So I don't expect him to do much this week. But again, 38's in flex range, so you could do worse than him as a flex, I guess.
Mike Davis scored last week, right? Or was that 2 weeks ago?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
like, I don't think so, but I know he's been top 22 weeks in a row. He's scored 2 weeks ago.
33 on the season, which
Okay,
is
and
nuts.
that touchdown 2 weeks ago was is not a long one, but probably a 20-ish yarder.
Yeah.
That was the best play that I've ever seen the Falcons block, and
True.
I could have ran through that hole for a 20-yarder. I still am staying away from Mike Davis. Trevor, I don't think you were on a show when I brought this up, but he reminds me of like when the Texans signed, Atlanta signed Michael Turner way back when, and they tried to get Steven Jackson, and those guys kind of worked. They did it with someone else too, but those ones kind of worked. Mike Davis hasn't worked. I think they still want to try to get it work. I just don't think he's that good of a football player. Carolina had an all right offensive line last year. That's why he showed out. But I think the people who dropped Mike Davis and picked him up 2 weeks ago, I don't know how much you're going to get out of him. I know Cordell Patterson's there. Like you said, Zach, Mike Davis has been top 20 2 weeks in a row. But other than that, he's really been nothing. And nothing makes me think that he's going to be any more than at 38 at best, I guess, what you have here.
Interesting how you're naming these Falcons running backs that they brought in and didn't do so well, and you somehow forgot Todd Gurley. Did that just slip your mind? Or?
No, he
Again,
did well.
so good. He scored touchdowns without even trying.
Yeah.
You can never bat down that argument because you can't.
It's true.
It's actually correct.
Actually correct. You're not wrong. Darrell Henderson, I would assume, is back this week. I have him at the bottom just because I need to see it. Assuming he is out, I have Sony Michel at 14. I thought he's looked pretty well. Obviously, the matchup against Seattle is pretty good. The Rams are definitely committing to the run to set up everything now, which is nice. It'll be interesting to see when Henderson's back if they just give Henderson a full workload and get him hurt right away, or if they balance it out. Because Sean McVay loves to give this 110-pound guy every carry up the middle he possibly can. And the same thing happens every time. He gets hurt. I don't know. Apparently, NFL coaches hate Christian McCaffrey and they hate Darrell Henderson because they do the exact same thing every time. But if he comes back, I'm not sure if I'd just put him at 14 where Michelle is. I may assume it's asking a lot, but I'm going to guess that they're both involved. So I think they would both be in that 20 to 30 range personally. Luke, what's your thoughts about that? Just pretending if Henderson does come back, what do you think they do there?
Yeah, especially to your point where, Sean McVay wants to run the ball, and it seemed to work a little bit last week. Matthew Stafford looked fine playing off the run a little bit, hitting Odell and Van Jefferson and guys all over. I mean, Cooper Kupp was eating in that middle. I think a little bit had to do with that run game getting going a little bit. So that's my only worry, because I assume if that's working, the logical thing would be to keep doing that and do it once they get in the playoffs and stuff like that. And obviously Darrell Henderson is a better runner. So I'm wondering if they, don't give Darrell Henderson all the run because he's coming off an injury. You kind of need him a little bit for playoffs. So I'm wondering if it's almost like a 50-50 or even a 60-40 split this game.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your thoughts, Trevor?
I think it should be, but from everything I see from Sean McVay, he never ceases to amaze me with the dumb shit he pulls off in games. So I think it's more like an 80-20. And he says if one of those lines, like if he wasn't healthy, he wouldn't be on the field, and just leaves it at that. Although
I do think that Robert Woods being out helps both those running backs because they like to run a lot of jet sweeps and trick plays and screens to Robert Woods, and now they have to give the ball to the running backs.
I think yes and no. I think we see the impact of not having Robert Woods there. Like, he's such a good blocker. But to your point, yeah, they definitely have more opportunities, especially at the goal line and stuff like that now, though.
We have a question. It's not about running backs, but it's about defense, which we don't discuss. So I figure we might as well talk about it now. From Trey, should I play New England defense versus the Colts or Colts versus New England? Minnesota defense versus Chicago as well is available. I'd take New England defense. I don't think I'd ever bet against New England's defense.
Why is the question not showing for me?
You take New England's defense, they're going to stop Jonathan Taylor. That means you're putting the ball in Carson Wentz's hands, and I would take that 10 times out of 10. If you have to make Carson Wentz throw the ball, I think you're doing a pretty good job as a defense.
I'm sorry, New England or who?
Minnesota's available for
who
him.
they play.
I have them back-to-back, but I have New England one ahead of them. And yeah, New England off a bye too. So it's not even just New England. I would, to your point, I'm not going to bet against Bill Belichick. He is a smart boy.
Yeah, Trey, that's one of them where you have the best defense, put it in, and don't even think about it. Don't try to get cute with it.
No. And then, they're so good to have. I've been looking ahead because, for playoffs and stuff, I can't remember who they play next week, but it's a super good matchup. Like, they're most likely going to be the top-ranked defense. So if somehow you're looking at your waivers or whatever, you're in the playoffs, you're looking good, and somebody dropped the Patriots because they're on bye, definitely pick them up if you have a roster spot because they're going to be very good next week. And this week, probably. Looking at the consensus, Rashad Penny, we can talk about him. I have Rashad Penny at 20, which is 5 spots higher than the consensus. He's an absolute stud, and he's finally getting the run he deserves. Consensus has him at 25. Against the Rams, I'm not afraid of the Rams. He's going to be good, and they're devoting all of those carries essentially to him. I'm not afraid of other running backs really taking work away. Luke, what did you have?
I looked up the Patriots. They have Bills, Jags, Dolphins to end the year.
Jags is what I was thinking. 2 weeks from now.
But to talk about Rashad Penny a little bit, like we've talked about on the show, that this offense is finally in Russell Wilson's hands, and maybe that's why it hasn't been so great this year. DK Metcalf hasn't popped off. Russell Wilson hasn't done great. The running game hasn't been going. I don't know that differs in this game. I agree with you, Zach, that Rashad Penny's a stud. They haven't used him well. They always want to seem to get Alex Collins going for whatever reason, because I don't think Alex Collins is very good at football. But it's a weird backfield for me because I know that they're going to get Alex Collins going, but I know that Rashad Penny's going to come in and be good. And when he's in, he's going to get points. So it feels like to me, Rashad Penny's, I'd be more comfortable in starting as like a flex and an RB2, right?
I think that's fair. I think they're done with Alex Collins.
Okay.
They've wrote it home. I think they're devoting, all these snaps now to Penny while he's finally healthy.
Fair.
I like Penny. I just can't, based on history, trust Seattle running backs like at all, unless it's a fully healthy Chris Carson, and then you're rolling the dice whether he gets hurt in game. So for that reason, I'm out. But again, if you don't really have a lot of options, which is definitely likely with all the COVID and injuries and stuff, you can definitely do a lot worse. I'd be more confident in him than, the others at the position.
Is Adrian Peterson playing?
No.
Okay. I was going to say...
It doesn't sound like it.
I guess just hypothetical then, because I was going to ask this. If Adrian Peterson's there, does that scare you at all?
I think he would take goal line touches away, which would make him go lower. But I think, between the 20s, he's still going to be the guy.
Fair.
We got another question from Trey about quarterbacks. Wentz versus New England or Heineke versus Philly? I'm going Wentz all the way. I don't mind. I'm scared of New England's defense, but Heineke, if he's not 100%, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see from him.
I'm going Heineke because I think 2 years ago Carson Wentz couldn't even make a 2-yard drag pass route. He couldn't complete that. So if you're making him throw the ball, I still don't think he has it. I think he ends up with more turnovers than Heineke this week.
Again, I have him back-to-back. I have Wentz one ahead of him, but I'm going to switch that. I like Heineke a little bit more just because of his rushing. I think they're going to be about the same for passing. I just think he'll get one of those stupid scrambles off to the left, and that'll be enough, I guess.
You don't see Wentz for a 40-yard keeper?
No, I think he'll sprain both ankles before he crosses the line of scrimmage at this point.
I'm telling you, how do you get 2 sprained ankles in one game? He had to be in with the mob there.
Same play. It wasn't even the same game. It was insane. Okay, so Damien Harris I have at 24, which is 10 spots higher. I love Damien Harris so much more than Ramondre Stevenson. He's unbelievably more talented. It's not close. I have them, I think, back-to-back in my rankings. I'm not looking at it. But they're going to get the same amount of work. They're going to have probably around the same amount of yards, and he's going to get the touchdown. That's it. Like, even if Stevenson gets more yards, Harris is going to come in there in that red zone. He's going to get the touchdown. It's not hard to figure out.
We've been saying for weeks who's going to get the Patriots goal line touches that Cam Newton had. It's obvious it's turned out to be Damien Harris.
Yeah. This is one that confuses me. This is the one I was alluding to earlier. I just don't understand it. So Rex Burkhead is out this week. I'm not sure if it's declared yet, but he's out. I have David Johnson at 35, and that's 34 spots higher than the consensus. He's cleared. He's back to practice. The other running back there is Royce Freeman. So I don't know why I'm 34 spots higher than the David Johnson. I have no clue. But he's a flex this week. Again, he plays the Jaguars. He's fine. Trevor, I know you like him. So do you have anything to say about it?
I have no inkling as to why everybody's acting like Royce Freeman is going to come in and drop 150 rushing yards. Like, he's on the top of trending of sleeper. David Johnson, the last 2 weeks after bye, obviously he was hurt, COVID, all that stuff. He was starting to get more run. His receiving work has been there, 4 or 5 catches each week the past 6 times he's played. I don't see how much of a role Royce Freeman can carve out unless they're up 50. And do we trust the Texans to be up 50? No.
I've been very critical on David Johnson, saying that you don't really want to play from the Texans or whatever. But this is the David Johnson week, right? I think it might be the Davis Mills to David Johnson week. Because Jacksonville does Josh Allen's a fine pass rusher. Like, they have some young talent that may get some pressure on Davis Mills, and as a rookie quarterback, who you're throwing to? You're throwing to the wide receiver that was converted to a running back once he got to the NFL. So I definitely can see David Johnson, getting his worth of points just in receptions and receiving yards, plus whatever he does rushing.
Yeah, the Jaguars are also so poorly coached. Their idea of strategy in this game is going to send like a zero blitz at Davis Mills to force him make a mistake. And hopefully the Texans are good enough to just have David Johnson sneak behind that big wall of pressure for 15 yards at a pop. Like, it's going to be, he should get 10 targets this game.
Yeah.
Easy.
You'd think so, but David Culley, the head coach right there at Texans, right? He likes to punt the ball.
Sure does. Trying to get that punter into the Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Maybe our shitty defense will help with field position here, and nope, never does.
Yeah. Only 2 other people I'm higher on that I think is worth mentioning is Amir Abdullah for Carolina. He's coming in and taking the passes while Chuba Hubbard is running the ball. I'm at 40. That's 5 higher. In PPR leagues, I think he has value. And then Brandon Bolden for the Patriots, he's 44. I have him 11 spots higher than the consensus. He's the receiving down guy. He's the third down guy. If you analyze the Patriots at all in matchups like this, like, I should be higher on him and rank him higher. I'm kind of hedging my bets. But DeForest Buckner's in the middle. It's going to be hard to run against them on the interior. This is a Brandon Bolden type of game. So if you are in a deep league, need a sneaky guy to plug in as a flex or an RB2 and you're super desperate, I think Brandon Bolden is a guy that could actually have a really solid week.
Yeah, there was a point at the season where they weren't letting Mac Jones throw deep. I don't know if he reverts back to that with the defensive line, like you said. And if we know the Patriots, we know Tom Brady had a lot of checkdowns, a lot of crossing routes. So I don't see why Mac Jones differs from that. You're right, Zach. It should be a Brandon Bolden week. And I know I sent you guys a text before about who should I take for my RB2 because Kareem Hunt is out. And I think that explanation there just sealed it for me. I'll pick up Brandon Bolden.
Yeah, I think it's interesting at least. And also, I'm not going to talk about this, but like, Eagles are getting everybody back in the backfield. And people are really high on Jordan Howard. I'm not sure why. I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out, but Miles Sanders is rolling before the bye. And if the Eagles have any brain cells at all, they'll commit to that and stay with that. But if not, I mean, we're talking about Boston Scott's there, Jordan Howard's there, Kenneth Gainwell is there. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. And if Jordan Howard is active for this game, I'd almost think about sitting Miles Sanders because it scares me that much. But I wouldn't start him at anything higher than a low-end RB2 if Howard's active. If Howard's not, I feel a little bit better at least, but man, we'll see. Okay, players I'm lower on really quick. I'm 4 lower on Ezekiel Elliott at 23. 7 lower on James Robinson at 29. I'm just done with it. I don't give a fuck anymore. AJ Dillon I have at 30, which is 6 lower. Chuba Hubbard at 34 is 4 lower. Darrell Williams at 41 is 9 lower. People are falling for 2 big plays over the past 2 weeks that have boosted his value. He's not that involved. He shouldn't be higher than 40. And that's about it. Any thoughts on any of those players?
I was just going to say, Zach, I agree with you on Darrell Williams. People are going to chase those touchdowns. I think maybe if you're in a touchdown-only league, it may be worth a look if you're desperate for another running back. But other than that, I don't think you touch him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before. It wasn't even a touchdown. He had like a 40-yard play, and that's just not going to happen. I think it was a 40-yard catch. So, like, outside of that, he would have had a terrible week. So, yeah.
I did have one other thing to bring up. I'm sorry, real quick. Does Amir Abdullah win the award this year for, he's still in the league on that team?
Honestly, no. I think it has to be the Dolphins' backfield as a whole. Like, I get surprised every time I look. It's super fun.
I was going to say...
Amir Abdullah is going to end up there before the end of the year, by the way.
Right. I was going to say a contender for that is Laquan Treadwell on the Jags, too.
That, too. Yeah.
Running into his own guys.
Mm-hmm.
True. When I was ranking him last week, I'm like, oh my God, not only is Treadwell playing well, but he's on the Jaguars? Like, that's crazy.
It's like one of those things where like, aw, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the Dan Arnold now that I can't cheer for him. Like, good for you.
You watch him.
Wide receiver. Wide receiver, I have Cooper Kupp at 1, Devontae Adams 2, Justin Jefferson 3, Deebo Samuel 4 versus the Falcons, and Deontay Johnson 5 versus the Titans. Trevor, what are your thoughts on those 5 wide receivers?
I love Deontay Johnson, but I think I'd probably switch him with Godwin at 6. Godwin must have some dirt on Brady, right? Like he must have seen him juicing or something, or like cheating on his wife. Because this dude, he had, 7 or less targets, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and 2 weeks before, or 3 and 4 weeks ago. In the past 2 weeks, he has 17 and 15 targets. I get that's a great role for him, but like, where did that come from? And I don't think it stops now. I think, like you said, Lattimore takes away Evans. I don't know who on New Orleans stops him. And I think that's a perfect thing for Brady. Just have somebody dink and dunk over the middle. They win. Everybody says this is why he's the GOAT, because his receivers do all the work, and rinse and repeat.
You add into that Antonio Brown, though, too, which helps Chris Godwin even more. But especially with how great Gronkowski's playing, he's kind of looked back to his New England days here. Like, Tampa Bay is getting those routes in where you get the tight end behind the linebackers and the receiver going in front of them, and all you have to do is make the linebacker make the decision, and they're always going to go to Gronk, which leaves Chris Godwin wide open. Especially against the Saints, you got to imagine Demario Davis can probably see Gronk a little bit, so you take Demario Davis out of there, and that's just a middle of the field wide open for Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I agree. I was also, debating between those two specifically. I like them both. I just went with matchup, but I think Godwin had 140 yards against the Saints last time too, so he's already proven it. I'm pretty sure he had at least one good game against them last year. So yeah, matchup-wise, it looks good. I hate Chase Claypool, so that's why I want to break Deontay Johnson higher. So take that, Claypool. I'm sure that really cut you deep. I'm sure that hurt.
So when are we going to end up changing Deebo Samuel's position in fantasy football to a running back?
Dude, he's a budget version of Darrell Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take for this fantasy year. That's all Deebo Samuel is. Kyle Shanahan wishes he was back in Atlanta. He's trying to mimic the Atlanta offense. It's sad. It's really sad. But Deebo's doing the best he can.
Not that great of a receiver, just using a nice role.
I don't get it though. Like what they're winning. I don't necessarily think this is helping them though. I don't know why they're doing it. Whatever. He was the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy, or number 2 probably behind Kupp early in the year when he was just playing wide receiver. Now, after he comes back from injury, Shanahan's like, let's get him more contact. Let's put him in the backfield. That's what we need.
Next to their other 8 running backs.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's totally a middle finger to John Lynch, too. Like, you drafted me a running back? Nah, I like Deebo Samuel. Like, why did you do
Right.
that? Anyway, I like Keenan Allen a lot this week. I have him at 7. That's 5 spots higher than the consensus. He plays the Chiefs tomorrow night. I think Justin Herbert's going to carve up the Chiefs. He's been super good against the Chiefs. He made that very first impromptu start in the NFL. It was against the Chiefs, and, he hasn't really looked back since. And, Mike Williams is the perfect decoy to sort of loosen up this Chiefs defense, which has been playing super well. Keenan Allen, like legitimately coming off a COVID week, I don't think it's out of line to say he gets 15 plus targets in this game. I think he's just going to be crazy good. I know we are a pro Keenan Allen show overall. So is there any disagreements with that?
No, he had like the opposite of a Keenan Allen week 2 weeks ago. He had 3 receptions, but 2 of them were touchdowns. Usually it's like 11 receptions and none of them were touchdowns. So that was pretty fun to see. But especially, Austin Eckler's questionable. If he plays, what capacity does he play in? That only helps Keenan Allen. If he's getting limited or if he's out.
Yeah, and this Kansas City defense is not that good. Like, they're improved, right? They're definitely improved, but they played Las Vegas. That was really because Las Vegas fumbled the ball every time they got touched. Then they played Denver. Sorry, Teddy. Dallas with Dak still looking broken. Okay. Las Vegas, they did all right. And then the Packers with Jordan Love. So they really haven't played anybody. And no matter what you think about the Chargers and whether or not, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, he's gonna play well.
Yeah, him and Kyler Murray are both top 10. They're super good, man. Kyler Murray's a joke. I want to bring it back to that. Kyler Murray's so bad at football. It's unbelievable.
I would like to say you have taught me a lot, because that last drive I was watching, I was like, man, Kyler Murray does not set up blocks at all. He ran into Von Miller like 3 times on that last drive, it seemed.
Well, then he had no idea where he was. Like, he doesn't spike the ball. Apparently, they didn't practice a game, like a 2-minute drill in practice, and that's why he didn't know what to do.
Something.
1, their coach is terrible. 2, he has no football IQ. Like, he is, dude.
He's been in the league how long? And they have to practice it the week before for him to know it.
Kyler Murray's not an it guy. Quarterbacks have the it factor. That's why, Brady had the it factor. Peyton Manning didn't. That's why their Super Bowls are different. Kyler Murray doesn't have it. He's not a leader there. Maybe he's a leader, be able to talk, set up plays. And I mean, that was unequivocally true at the end of the game there, when instead of spiking, he went for a Hail Mary and nobody blocked.
So bad. Other wide receivers, DK Metcalf also sucks at football. I have him at 29. I forgot to update the rankings. I think I have him at 27 there. Consensus has him at 18. I don't know why. He is no good, man. He's the like, if you listen to the 40 Sports podcast, I believe he's the worst athlete I've ever seen. And not just football player. Struck out in charity softball. Came in last place in a race, and he's supposed to be fast. The dude sucks at everything he does. Seahawks had a dynasty going. He joins the Seahawks, and now they can't win games. Like, everything he touches turns to shit, including Russell Wilson. And he is a pacifier, as a mouth guard for a reason. The dude's a drama queen baby. He sucks at absolutely everything. Does anybody have anything good to say about DK Metcalf to balance me out? Or do we just hate him?
The only thing that you missed was calling him a bitch. I think it would be like the third time in the past 4 weeks we've called DK Metcalf a bitch. So you should add that.
It's gotten in his head.
Hey, I like DK Metcalf. I'll never call him a bitch.
Didn't you call him one on Lombardi sweep when he got ejected? Or were you just confused? I don't remember.
That might have been Janet.
I did. I know I did, so.
I definitely did. Other wide receivers. Okay, so DeAndre Hopkins is out for the rest of the regular season. I think Christian Kirk's going to be the most valuable wide receiver there. I'm at 26. I have AJ Green at 30. I'm higher on both of them. I have Rondale Moore at 54. I just don't think Rondale Moore will see a ton of, like, a huge workload. He just seems to be a gimmick guy on this offense for whatever reason. I think he's super talented, but I don't think there's much upside there. Donovan Peoples-Jones is the best wide receiver on this offense, and right now he doesn't have COVID currently. So I think even if everyone somehow passes their test and comes back and plays, I think he still has value. But even if they don't, or especially if they don't, I think he's going to have value by default. So if you're really hurting at wide receiver, which I am for one of my leagues, I've been toughing it out and being stubborn with Cortland Sutton, who is fully droppable at this point. I've been willing him, like, he did nothing against the Lions last week, which is kind of the final straw.
Shout out to ESPN for still projecting him like 12 points a game.
Jesus, man, it's bad. So, like, I picked up Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm going to start him over him this week for sure.
Yeah.
Yo, kind of off track. Did y'all hear that Josh Lambo said that Urban Meyer kicked him?
Yeah. I don't know what the context is.
Am I the only one that thinks that's absolutely hilarious that he kicked a kicker?
Yeah.
I think it's funny.
No, I'm sure Urban Meyer thinks it's hilarious too.
I think I like Urban Meyer, by the way.
I
hate you, man.
Honestly, this comment might bring me back a little bit because it's so bold you have to respect it. When Lambo told him, "Don't ever effing kick me again," he said, "I'm the head ball coach." First of all, ball coach? What is this? He said, "I'm the head ball coach. I'll kick you whenever the fuck I want." That is brilliant. I actually almost respect that.
Maybe the kicker would have did his job right. I bet he wouldn't kick Justin Tucker.
I bet he would. He's the ball coach. He can kick whoever, whatever the fuck he wants. Going to wide receivers, I'm lower on Jamar Chase. Surprise, surprise. I have him at 18, which is 7 lower. We talked about Metcalf. I'm 8 lower on Michael Pittman, who I have at 31. I think J.C. Jackson can take him out of the game. I'm 10 spots lower on Cortland Sutton. Maybe I'm being emotional. I don't know. I have him at 60. Fuck Cortland Sutton. Either way, no matter where I rank him, don't start him. Doesn't matter. Allen Robinson I have at 61 as well, which is 6 spots lower. Any thoughts on any of those wide receivers?
No, if Justin Fields is on the field, Allen Robinson isn't getting the ball till garbage time.
No. And the Packers were doubling him too. So, I mean, if teams really want to continue to double him, he's really not going to get the ball, which is fine. Okay, tight ends. This is a different kind of week. I have George Kittle, number 1 versus the Falcons. Rob Gronkowski, 2 versus the Saints. Mark Andrews, 3 versus the Packers. I have Travis Kelce, 4 at the Chargers, and then Dawson Knox, 5 versus the Panthers. I'm really down on this Chiefs passing offense, I guess, for this game. But Luke, what do you think of those tight ends?
I agree with you. I agree with you being down on the Chiefs passing offense because Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were both kind of running open last game, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't audible and out of He's just running the ball and getting to the clock, getting to Darrell Williams, whatever. But Rob Gronkowski, like I said, he kind of looks like he's back in New England here. He's playing very well. George Kittle, he's now become a part of the offense, what everyone's been waiting for before he got hurt. It's pretty crazy that San Francisco starts winning when they give the ball to George Kittle. So I don't see why that changes. And Dawson Knox, just because Emmanuel Sanders is out.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Shout out to Mark Andrews. Well, not really to him, but to the Ravens quarterbacks for finally deciding that they should probably give him the ball more. He had double-digit targets once before the bye. In the 6 weeks since then, he's got double digits 4 times. He's finally done well. The only question is whether Lamar can get it to him. And now with Lamar questionable, Huntley, he made a point to get him the ball, and there's a reason why they almost beat the Browns with a backup. He's good. He just needs to be throwing the ball, and it looks like that's what's going to happen against the Packers. Good luck, Green Bay.
Yeah, if Lamar Jackson plays, I'll actually move him below Travis Kelce. I'm just assuming Huntley plays. I think the Lamar Jackson thing is sort of gamesmanship here. Like if you're forcing a team to have to prepare for Lamar Jackson, that's an extra day they have to prepare for something essentially. So I'm assuming that's what's going on personally.
To your point there, it's really fun having Lamar Jackson in 9 leagues.
Either Lamar isn't playing or he is the biggest bitch in fantasy. Like you got carted off and you're going to play like a week later. Come on, dude. It's like Delvin Cook getting carted off with a shoulder injury. What are we doing here? Come on, man.
We talked about this before, but the NFL has such a large cart budget this year.
Yes.
They're bringing it out for absolutely everything. They're just wheeling it around, just showing it off.
Except for when they actually need it.
I've always been in the camp. If someone's hurt, you drag them out to the sideline and work on them so I can keep watching football.
That's right. Maybe it's a cart sponsorship. I actually just thought of that now. Maybe they have like something on there where they actually have to show it a certain amount of times, and maybe it's at the end of the contract. So they're kind of pushing it all out there. Who knows?
Trying to corner the cart market of the cart market.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
If they don't use it enough, they have to use a golf cart and hang them out the back.
You got to hold on to the back while he's going. Be very funny.
Right. With DeAndre Hopkins out, like I said, I like those other wide receivers more. I think Zach Ertz is going to get a few extra targets too. He plays the Lions, obviously. I have him at 6. Darren Waller's at 7. It kind of seems like he may not play now. So I guess if he's out, I'd still move Moreau in the teens, probably. Other players here.
Just to speak on Darren Waller, I've been saying it all year. I don't think he's good enough to be a number one option on a team. I mean, he gets taken on when he's double covered. He has to be the number one option on the Raiders. I just wanted to pose this question to you. I know it's not a weekly question, but where is Darren Waller an untradeable tight end in Dynasty League?
No, he's not untradeable.
Yeah. Sorry. I was say obviously for the right price you can trade him, but he's just because tight ends are so bad and he's young and he produces. Is he untradeable?
No, I'm actually going to look up how old he is too, because I think that could be interesting. Because obviously he started in the NFL as a wide receiver for a few years.
I think he's
27. I'm interested to see how old he is. 29. So he's not compared to Travis Kelce. This will be fun, actually. Travis Kelce's 32. I was thinking Travis Kelce was 30, actually. But yeah, so there's not even that much difference between them. Darren Waller was good because he had John Gruden.
Right.
Now that he doesn't have John Gruden, he's not as good. He's still a mismatch because he's athletic. But yeah, if he's fully healthy, he may be a lower tight end 1 next year for me. I just don't like him as much.
Fair.
Dalton Schultz, people are ranking him high. I think he's like a mid to low teens guy with everyone healthy there for Dallas. Tyler Higbee had that false positive COVID test last week. Everyone was pissed off. Plays the Seahawks this week. It seems like one of those games where Sean McVay is going to stubbornly force him the ball quite a bit and call plays for him. I'm at 13, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's a top 10 guy this week at all.
Especially if you get that run game going.
Yeah, he's also really good. Like he's going to see 6 to 10 targets probably. And he deserves them. And then before I compare, the only other person I want to talk about is just Josiah DeGuara. He's for sure growing into a larger role for the Packers. We saw a little bit more this week. He's running those same sort of Robert Tonyan routes, if you will. He's not as good as Robert Tonyan was last year, but he's getting left alone in the exact same way, where he just sort of crosses to the backside of the play and does jumping jacks and waits for Rodgers to find him. Like he's going to be fine if you're in a super deep league and having issues. Maybe, you're hoping to get Darren Waller back for the playoffs and now you're not going to against the Ravens where they have to pass. I think you could do worse. Obviously, you don't want to just randomly take a chance on somebody right now, but at least for DFS, I think he's worth a look.
Agreed. I'll say I randomly took a chance on someone last week and it worked out. I grabbed Brevin Jordan. I was able to get 10 out of him.
Davis Mills likes him. I think that's a good call. Also worth it this week. I have Austin Hooper at 14. I just found out, I thought I had all my ducks in a row with the Browns. I think he's also on the COVID list with Njoku and all of that. If it's a close contact and he can come back and Njoku's still out, I definitely like Hooper. I don't know. Watch that whole situation, man. Like, I really don't know what to think about Cleveland right now. Come back to my rankings at the end of the week because I would assume there's a lot of movement with the Browns and the Rams and players like that.
Yeah.
Because the Rams also aren't practicing right now.
That's right.
I would just like to give myself some flowers. By sheer luck, I drafted Brevin Jordan in our dynasty draft and then didn't even use a taxi squad spot on him. So I don't know what I was even doing. But, I just like to point it out that I saw him score a touchdown the other day, and it was kind of like with the player earlier with Treadwell. I was like, oh, good for that guy.
He's good.
One player that I wanted to bring up, and I know it's very late in the fantasy season, but someone maybe to keep an eye on if you have injuries or something. I do think Hayden Hurst can do some damage in Atlanta, at least fantasy wise, because I've always talked about the struggles that Matt Ryan has in the red zone, because there really was only one option, right? With Julio Jones, no one else could really rely on. I mean, Kyle Pitts is that right now, and then Hayden Hurst has been in the league a little bit. I can see him maybe grabbing a touchdown here or there, picking up 30 yards, or doing enough to help you out rather than hurt you.
I mean, to your point, 1 target, 1 catch, 3 yards, 1 touchdown last week. That's good enough for tight end 11, baby.
Right.
Do whatever you got to do. He's a red zone option. And San Francisco, like I said, was tough to pass on. That's mostly because they're covering the wide receivers super well. So Hayden Hurst should have some open looks, I guess.
We'll
see.
I mean, it's not exciting, but if someone goes down, it's someone to keep an eye on for fantasy playoffs.
Jack Doyle is also back this week off his bye. Like I said, they want to get Jack Doyle's name out there as much as possible. So give it a look. New England's going to try to stop the run, and I think J.C. Jackson can shut down Michael Pittman. So, I mean, that leaves T.Y. Hilton and Jack Doyle. Maybe Wentz tries to do an Andrew Luck impression and throw to those two guys a lot. We'll see.
Whenever I hear Jack Doyle, all I can think about is from that Adam Sandler movie, the O'Doyle rules. Like them just changing it and they drive off the cliff. I just thought that was intriguing.
It is intriguing, Trevor. Thank you. Do we have anything else to say before we give a guarantee here? Okay, let me figure out what mine is.
I can give mine because I already have it. I think Gardner Minshew is not only a better quarterback, but a better fit for the Eagles than Jalen Hurts. Sirianni hasn't completely given the reins to Hurts, and I think Jalen Hurts raises more questions than he answers this week. I don't think he's even a top 10 quarterback, even with a good matchup. I think he forces some balls, throws like 2 picks. So I'm going to say not top 10 quarterback.
Fair. So I don't know why I was thinking about it, but last week I should have guaranteed that Devante Adams would score a touchdown because he always does on Sunday Night Football for like the last 800 years. But just stick in the receiver realm for me. Give me Chris Godwin 10 receptions, 10 or more.
Let me look really quick at Brandon Bolden's stats, and I can come up with something for him because I do like him. So the past several weeks, I guess. Here's his receptions total since week 8. He's gone 0, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1. I'll say he matches his top for that. I'm going to say he gets at least 4 receptions in this game.
Perfect.
Cool. Anything else to talk about before we get out of here?
Okay. Yes, tune into Lombardi Sweep.
Yeah, we'll be back with Lombardi Sweep in 10-ish minutes talking about Packers game against the Bears, previewing the game against the Ravens, even though there's a lot of question marks in terms of who's going to be active. And I rewatched the Packers game right before this stream, and it made me very angry. So Positive Zach's not going to show up for this fucking show. So come back.